I made a video about your videos, and I refer to you as the greatest actor of our generation, maintaining this bit, and I'm gonna just jump in it with Alex. What for those there's a bunch of people in the chat, they have no idea what's going on. They're like, what is it? You have done this what is presumed by so many people to be a bit, but you've done it so well that people are questioning whether you're doing a bit. And if you look at the comments on your Instagram, when you make these videos where you say like the man should pay, and so he goes, well, then you should pay. And you're like, oh, how dare you? Yeah. It's split between, I see these comments from leftists and they're saying things like, I don't know if you're trying to joke or not, but please be careful when you're presenting an image about trans women. Like these activists can't tell whether or not you are serious or ribbing on them. And it's much like, are you familiar with Angela Belcamino?
I am not.
Give a shout out to Angela.
Yeah, Angela's cool.
So she's the bold lib, she calls herself on X, and she makes these videos, and they're all the same. It's her walking past the camera strutting, and it says like conservatives can't stand a bold lib or whatever.
And I'm 42 and single and childless, and they can't stand me. It's funny stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff. So,
but it's a bit apparently.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like what you're doing. It's blending reality and fiction. And I think that's why people like it, because the best content is content that triggers people, right? Like when I started to go viral, I did this stupid thing where I went and I talked about the vaccine. I said, Dr. Fauci, give me that ouchie. And the reason why I did well is because people on the right were like, man, this guy sucks. But people on the left are like, this guy's kind of cool, and they were also kind of embarrassed by it. So I guess my point is when you trigger both sides, that is the content that I think goes the most viral. And that's what you're doing.
Yeah, and it's not intentional. I'm just being me, but I have noticed that both conservatives and the far left seem to have opinions on what I do. And some of them like me and some of them dislike me, but it's very interesting to see how many people are outing themselves as bigots, especially on the left, and are trying to police my body and my voice and things like that. And so I'm just being me, but during this process of my transition, people are outing themselves for the narrow-minded, myopic people that they are, and it is what it is. I'm just being me.
Well, the chat said this. It's a good question. What is a woman?
Well, again, I would defer to the science. So if you follow the science now, the NIH, WHO, WPATH, it all says that someone can be a biological male. But their gender and their gender identity is determined by them and them only. And so if we just follow the science, a woman is whoever wants to be a woman. And I know Matt Walsh has spoken on this and, done the movie or whatever, but if you follow the science, that's what they say. And we choose our gender. But there is biology, and biologically I was born a male. I was assigned male at birth by a doctor, but I identify as a woman, so.
What do you think about trans people competing against biological women? What do you think about that in sports?
Yeah, that's a very nuanced, I think everyone can agree, very nuanced issue, because there are hormonal differences, bone structure differences, muscular differences. There's nature versus nurture arguments going on there. So it's such a nuanced issue, and it's tough because I don't think anyone thinks that trans women like me or anybody should not be able to compete in sports, but I think a great argument that's been put forth is, should they have their own league? Should we have our own league? Is that
intergender league, their own,
Well, it'd be trans women competing against trans women, trans men competing against trans men, and then cisgendered women, what are thought of as traditional women, competing with traditional women, and cisgendered men competing with cis. So I think having our own league is definitely a viable option. I don't know if it's the right one, but having trans women like me competing with cisgendered biological women, that's a very tough question, and I can't say I know the answer to it.
Do you get clothes specially tailored for you?
Well, I have a large chest.
Not that large.
But it's pretty large just through genetics and working out a lot. So I don't get clothes tailored, but not because I shouldn't. It's because I can be cheap. And so I tend to not get clothes tailored, but lots of things don't fit me how I would like them to. Today I found, some stuff that fits pretty well.
You
But
look like a guy.
Yeah, you're dressed like a dude. Yes. What are you talking about? You're in a sport coat and a nice shirt. Your chest hair is
but
out.
women wear suit blazers.
I guess Hillary Clinton does wear pantsuits, technically.
Yeah. So I could be an androgynous look, I think. What I was going
You have
for
a
was
5 o'clock shadow.
Yeah.
what was that?
You have a 5 o'clock
Why don't you
shadow.
get breast implants? Honestly, why don't you? And
Well, I already don't like how large my chest is. So I already made a video about why I wouldn't get a chest.
you did. I think I may
Yeah,
have seen that,
yeah.
but.
I'm not getting top surgery.
Tell us how is the trans people treat you at the DNC? You made that video, went pretty viral.
You went to the DNC?
Well, so I live 4 miles in Chicago from where the
okay.
DNC was held, and so there are actually protests outside of local precincts everywhere throughout Chicago, and just a few blocks from where I live, there was a protest. And I told Alex earlier in the car ride over here that a couple other, I'm not sure, I don't want to assume their gender. They were outwardly presenting like two possibly trans women or maybe non-binary, very aggressively came up to me and wanted to know what my sign said and why was I here. And I was very thrown off because I thought it was an inclusive protest.
What was your sign?
It's Trans for Palestine. And I thought it was an inclusive protest and they would be open to all of us just coming there together in the spirit of love. But they were very aggressive with me. And so I actually had to tell them to go away and kick rocks so that.
But so actually, this is actually interesting, right? Obviously, the whole chat is everybody saying troll level 9,000, 10 out of 10, blah, blah, blah. But you've never actually been outwardly antagonistic to any of these people. You've never said that this is a joke. You've maintained that it's true. And it is actually the left, these individuals who are more likely to give you, to present animosity or anger.
Just going by my experience on social media, there's tens of thousands of comments under my posts and millions of views. Just going by that and the messages I get, which are thousands of messages, it definitely appears as if most of the vitriol and animosity is coming from the left and people that are part of the LGBTQIA plus community. So it's interesting. It's not conservatives usually, but sometimes it is.
Honest question, and this is for both of you, obviously, but I think people can make assumptions as to why that is. But honest, like, why do you think that is? Right? Look, let me preface this. There was a viral post years ago of a biological male with a full beard. And he put on like a pink dress and he said, "I'm a woman. You don't have to look like," and it was this big deal. The left was cheering it on. The LGBTQ community was cheering it on. And this male was saying that only women define womanhood. And so that's why it's this fascinating hypocrisy that the posts you've made on Instagram, right? For example, one of them is you saying the guy should pay for the first date. And so you slid the bill to him and he said, "Well, then you should pay." And you went, "That was just so rude." That is completely consistent with the left's view and ideology on all of this. And yet they're the ones getting mad about it. Why is it the left?
I was surprised because I thought the left was all about inclusivity and tolerance and you are valid and it doesn't matter what you look like and don't judge people on appearance, judge them on character. And I have found none of that during this process.
So did you say it's more hate, though, from the left?
Going off my social media and messages I receive, I'd say it's about 70 to 80% from the left. And then people that are saying they're conservative or Republicans, maybe 25%.
No sense of humor.
I've gotten a lot of messages of support from women who say they're Trump supporters and they love me and accept me and they have no problem with me. I've gotten almost few of those messages from anyone saying they're on the left or that they're Biden supporters. I haven't gotten a single message from a Biden supporter saying, "I'm a Biden supporter and I support you." It's only people that are on the right or support Trump, so it's very interesting.
Who are you voting for, Trump or Kamala?
Well, I was going to vote for Kamala. I hope I'm not mispronouncing her name.
Kamala.
Kamala.
Yeah,
Is that-
Kamala.
Okay, yeah, her niece explained it, so that's
They
helpful.
get really offended
They
about
get
that.
pissed about that. They yelled at me the other day at this gas station. I was trying to interview
said
people.
Kamala?
Yeah.
So I was gonna vote for Kamala and
Kamala.
Kamala. I'm sorry, I don't want to mispronounce her name, but she is just. I've heard no discussion about the open border. I tend to have views that are between left and right on various issues. I think the border's an issue, a serious issue, and the economy. And I've heard absolutely nothing of substance from Kamala on that. And so I'm not a fan of Trump at all.
What? He lets Caitlyn Jenner pee in his hotel.
Trump does?
Yeah, in the women's restroom.
I don't know. I mean, I guess that's in the women. He lets her.
Caitlyn Jenner peed in the women's restroom and made a video at I forget which hotel at one of the Trump Towers. So he's very inclusive.
Yeah, that's very. I mean, that's
He would let
great
you
that he's
pee in-
progressive.
yeah, so you should vote for Trump.
Yeah, Trump's
But-
progressive.
But Trump to me tends to be a demagogue in an ideologue, and I'm not a fan of that. I'm a libertarian. And so neither of the candidates, because I'm a libertarian, come from a libertarian ethic and education. Neither of them is appealing to me. So I'd really like to find somebody that embodies truly the libertarian ethic of let everybody live how they want to live. We're not going to tell you what to do with your body or, with your life decisions. And I feel like both candidates are constantly trying to tell us how we should be living and what we should do. The left and the Democrats are constantly trying to tell us how we should be talking and what we need to believe. And the right, when it comes to things like abortion and women's health care, are trying to tell us how we should live our lives. So neither of them is appealing to me because I don't think they're true libertarians.
But what is your stance on abortion?
On abortion, I feel like obviously laws are put in place and codified by the states now that it's gone back to the states. And I think that is founders' intent. And I think that is a good thing. But lots of states are voting on it democratically and making decisions that the rest of the country does not agree with. But that is democracy. And that's how it works when it goes back to the states. So I can't have an opinion on it other than using my vote as a voice in my state were the issue to come up, and I would vote for women to have the right to get an abortion, and I don't think we should impinge on that or curtail it too much, but I also don't think we should be having late-term abortions or abortions in the very late terms. I don't think that's good either. I think we need a reasoned, rational approach.
But the issue is when it comes to the Democrats' presentation is they just lie about it. So on the debate stage, for instance, Trump says, you had Virginia. He incorrectly said West Virginia, mind you. That was offensive to us in West Virginia. I am not a native-born West Virginian, but I speak on behalf of West Virginians. Don't blame the people who live here for what Virginia did. Mm-hmm. Governor Northam in Virginia said the baby would be born, brought into the other room, and then the discussion would happen. And that woman, what's her name, Davis or something, immediately goes, there is no state that allows, the killing of babies or whatever. Yeah. Did you say the killing of babies?
I forget what her exact terms were, but that clip obviously went viral. Said we're going to keep the baby comfortable, and then they make the decisions.
Right.
So.
And so the issue is, you look at Colorado has 0 restrictions on abortion to the point of birth. You can abort. And then you have Oklahoma, which has no abortion allowed at all. The Republicans will tell you outright, there is a debate internally among the right about pro-life federal abortion ban and states abortion ban and how many weeks it might be. The left will just lie the whole time and say, that's not happening and it can't happen. Shut up, you're wrong. And then you can see it literally happen. There's a viral video going now where a woman calls a clinic and she says that she's 34 weeks, but her boyfriend left her and she needs to get rid of the baby. And they're like, no problem. Here's how we'll do it. And then she's like, and this is not like a rare thing. You do this all the time. Like, yep, all the time. And then they say it's never happening.